A random man emailed me, claiming to be the father of my baby, and I'm worried. I will try not to waste everyone's time and keep this as short as possibly, but for some context, I'm a 25M and I have a wife 25F who I married last year. Last July we welcomed my beautiful baby and I had no doubt he was mine at the time until 3 hours ago. I got an email from a random man claiming to be the father of my baby boy, and while I was at disbelief at first, he showed evidence of him holding my child on our sofa. Currently, I find myself on the brink of a panic attack. Following the tragic loss of both my parents in a fatal car accident and a tumultuous relationship that left me suicidal, I encountered a beacon of hope in my wife, who assisted me in navigating the depths of grief. However, in light of her betrayal, despite her vast knowledge of my past, I feel like a failure. I've never had trust issues with my wife, but would I be an asshole for taking my baby to have a paternity test behind my wife back? Does anyone have any advice on how I can proceed with this? I would also like to note that I'm a long-time reader of this subreddit and of course I'm using an alt account. However, I'm aware there are many fake stories, but please, for my sake, just give me advice on how I can proceed with this. Even if you have suspicion it's fake, I would really appreciate it. If you would like to read the email, here it is. It's time you know the truth about your wife. Hi, my name is blank. I've come to a point where I can't keep hiding the truth about your wife, blank, anymore. I know this might be hard for you to hear, and you might resent me for it, but I need to come clean. I had an affair with blank. I was fully aware of your relationship with her. We were together for 2 years, during which I saw the struggles you and blank were going through to have a child. Though it's not confirmed, there's a strong possibility that I could be the father of your child. You may also think I'm bluffing, but that is not the case. I have met blank before as blank tried convincing me to stay, and while I didn't want to abandon the child, I knew I made a grave mistake allowing you to be manipulated, so I couldn't allow you to be misled by your wife. You might be wondering why I'm choosing to disclose this now. The thing is, I recently converted to Islam and am preparing to embark on a pilgrimage to Mecca. It's a journey of spiritual renewal, and part of that process involves seeking forgiveness for past mistakes. I know you may not forgive me, but I hope that by telling you the truth, it can bring you and I some closure. Before I leave, I'd like to meet with you to answer any questions you may have. I understand if you need time to process all of this. Take care. Update. Hello everyone, I won't waste your time, but I will keep this as short as possible. 2 days ago, paternity test results came back and unfortunately my son isn't mine. I could explain how I felt, but I would ramble on and on. I confronted my wife about this and we had a large awful argument, and damn it, I know my anger is justified, but I don't know how I could have prevented it. Before I left the house, I told my wife I despise her existence and I fucking hate her. And well, I came home very late at night and my wife was passed out and unfortunately she died from alcohol poisoning. The baby wasn't in the house, he was at her parents' house. I blame myself for telling my wife I hated her. I miss my wife. I miss my son. I miss my little family. I will delete this account in a few hours, but I'm sorry if this wasn't the update you were expecting. Edit. I've been receiving hateful messages scolding my wife and messages making fun of my son for not being mine. Please, I beg, show some respect. Edit 2. I will delete my account now, but thank you to those who showed support. My girl wants to stay longer on our trip to find herself and wants me to pay for it. Throwaway because she knows my Reddit. So, here's the deal. My 28M girlfriend, 27F, of 2 years and I planned a 2-week vacation to Italy. I paid for the flights, hotels, everything, because I make more than she does, and I wanted it to be a stress-free trip for both of us. Everything was great until the last day when she tells me she wants to stay longer to find herself and think about our relationship without me. She didn't discuss this with me beforehand, and it completely blindsided me. I was hurt and told her that if she feels she needs time alone, then she should also be independent financially during this extension of her trip. I said I wouldn't be paying for her new return ticket whenever she decides to come back. Now, she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish, and some of our friends are saying I'm being an a-hole because I left her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. So, Reddit, Ida for refusing to pay for her new plane ticket home after she chose to extend her trip without any heads up? Update, thank you to all the people who responded, especially the early ones who gave some outside verification of me probably not being the asshole. I don't feel comfortable saying I'm completely blameless here because you're only getting one side of the story and I need to take responsibility for my part in this whole thing, such as it is. But I guess I never realized how good my GF was at making me feel like unreasonable shit was normal and rational and that I was the crazy one. So here's the update. We're both back in America now and she's packing her shit to go stay with her family for a bit until she can find a new place. Soon after I posted, it was time to go to the airport, so I did, without her. I'm one of those people who arrives really early because I never think I'll get to the gate in time because everything that could go wrong probably would go wrong. It never does, but, especially with how I was feeling my luck was going, I didn't want to push it. I was there for about an hour by myself mulling things over and talking to my mom. I looked at a couple responses to this post but I didn't trust that I wouldn't lose it if I started responding, and I definitely didn't want to burst into tears while I was in the airport. As I was talking to my mom, my GF showed up. I guess she thought I was bluffing but had a rude awakening when the hotel staff kicked her out of the room because I'd only paid through that day. I took no small amount of satisfaction in this, NGL. She'd been so concerned about the plane ticket that she didn't even stop to think about where she was going to stay. As many of you guessed, she met someone while we were in Italy. She was quick to tell me that it was just a physical attraction and that they hadn't done anything, but she had his ad and was wanting to see if it'd go anywhere. I guess that's what I get for not feeling well and wanting to stay in one night while she went out to explore. Obviously, I told her things were over between us. Even though she tried to make it sound like nothing had happened, the fact was A, I couldn't feel like I could trust her when she said that, and B, I don't really want to be with someone who feels like it's okay to still keep her options open when she's been in a monogamous relationship for the past 2 years. The flight home was awkward as fuck and she tried really hard to give another pitch for why we should stay together on the drive home from the airport. I think, as we got closer to home, reality started setting in and she realized she'd just thrown a lot away. So yeah. I'm jet-lagged and physically and emotionally exhausted. I'm just kind of numb at this point. Finally, I didn't see all the comments, as there are 2.5k at the time of this update, but, to the few that were downvoted into oblivion who said this was fake because I hadn't updated in several hours, fuck you. I was looking for reasonable dissenting opinions that might have helped me make sense of this situation, and you're accusing me of making this up for random internet points? Believe it or not, my priority was not to tell a bunch of strangers on the internet how my world was falling apart around me. I know it's easy to think that these people aren't real and their struggles are meaningless because screens divide us, but, ironically, you're the assholes. My GF moved in with a wealthy old man, and I don't trust her. Me, 27M, and my girlfriend, 26F, have been together for 7 years. Most of it, we either lived together or saw each other daily. About 2 years ago, she took a new job that required her to live at a residence, like a maid. I was sad I wouldn't see her, but the pay was going to be amazing, and I was happy for her. Then I started to get really suspicious of small things, like when we were together, she would talk about him, not in a bossy kind of way. It's hard to explain, but it was way more personal. She does live there, so I get it, but she can use his car whenever and everyone else in her family has met him except me. Then she started going over to other members of his family. About 7 months ago, she quit that job and started another, but she is still living there. She says he's just being kind while she gets her stuff together. The biggest thing though is that when I asked to meet him, she denies it, and one time I went to pick her up, and the guy she lives with's friend came to greet me, thinking I was her brother, and when I said no, I'm her boyfriend, he looked shocked, like he just heard some tea he wasn't supposed to. But when she got in the car and I asked her, she had no idea why he would think that. They have since moved to a location she won't tell me. I'm at a loss. I love her, but I feel betrayed, and I don't even know if I have been. I'm not sure what to do. My family assumes she's been unfaithful, and I should walk away. I have no one to really talk to about it. I don't want to feel like I wasted 7 years of my life. How should I go about talking to or confronting her about this? I don't want to just come out and accuse her of cheating or whatever, but I can't continue being in a relationship if I don't trust her at all. I have asked her if she wants to live there forever or be with him, and she has said no every time, saying that she loves me and only sees herself with me, but this was supposed to be a 9-month job, and now it's been that long that she's lived there rent-free, just as a favor, according to her. How should I go about this? My soft wife is upset because I bruised our son's arm. I took my family on a walk yesterday on a trail. My son was holding my baby daughter, and wanted to climb up a rock. My wife told him to give the baby to her if he wants to climb. He says he won't climb, he'll just show her the rock. My wife and I sat down and I was answering a text message when she starts to panic because our son didn't listen. I took my son by the arm and asked him why he didn't listen to his mother. He said it's not a big deal. I won't drop her. So I pulled his arm a bit hard while I was talking to him. On the walk back my son is holding his mom's hand saying, "Mommy, my arm hurts." I don't get physical with my son just because he makes a mistake. I would typically give him a natural consequence according to his behavior. But I needed to get his attention and let him know I'm not playing around with him. My wife is soft with our son. I don't mind that. I agree that he probably needed some nurturing after I was stern with him. But I grabbed his arm, I didn't beat him. She made his favorite for dinner, which is overkill if you ask me, but I didn't try to stop her. He learned his lesson. I learned just how upset she was later that night when we were in bed. We had sex and when we were finished, she rolled away from me. She's usually all over me, so I knew something was wrong. I got her to talk to me and she tells me that I bruised her baby's arm, and starts to cry. I don't want to bruise my kid, and I don't want to make my wife cry. I tried to explain myself. I want our kids to be safe. He disrespected me, I got pissed, and I can agree I was too forceful if I bruised him. I don't think I was exactly wrong, barring the bruises, but I felt ashamed replaying her reaction all day. I brought my wife flowers and my son a PlayStation gift card home after work. My son is himself, but my wife still seems off. I'm not